So, Doina, thank you very much for accepting this invitation. She's the coordinator of the chair Activism and Architecture in the School of Architecture of Sheffield. And these were basically what we discussed a bit beforehand on what Doina will talk about. So my questions were related to the three roles of the university. The first role, which is the professional training, the main role as we know it, and then the research role, and then the third role, which is to get involved with societal issues and help to find solutions and yes.
Thank you, Vera, for this introduction. First, a few words about the School of Architecture in Sheffield, which is well known in UK for its commitment to the social approach of architecture. I think we are amongst the very few schools that are doing this. And we were doing this for a number of years. And this approach, this agenda, this ethos is reflected in the curriculum. So at all levels of academic teaching, we have a social agenda embedded in the curriculum. And I will speak more specifically about the live projects, for example, which is a 6-week project for the master students. And when they are working in groups with communities, so the communities are formulating the brief, and it will be a teamwork together with community, and the teachers are taking a back seat, so we are just mentors. The students are organizing themselves, and somehow they are acquiring lots of skills in terms of, interacting and engaging, coordinating, and teamwork, responsibility, civic responsibility, and so on. But also the University of Sheffield has a commitment to the city and to the region, and this is expressed in the fact that there is a department of, it's called Civic University, that embodies somehow the role of the university as an actor in the city and in the region, and the Civic University promotes, so to say, innovation in the region through partnerships with local organization, enterprises, with the municipality, or with different municipalities, but also contributes to the, let's say, building a civic culture in the region. In Sheffield, in fact, there are 2 universities, and they have both a civic department, and they are working together. So there is a network around these 2 civic universities, which are very active and supporting each other mutually. Then I think I will come back to the live projects, because it's there that where the students are also playing this role of facilitators that you were speaking about within the fellowship program. So somehow the live projects are for us the equivalent of the fellowship program, and I think it's important because then the skills that they have acquired during this will will be taken further in their future practice, in their future teaching. Some of them are kind of joining academia further in different places in UK, so they are sort of disseminating this, this culture of engagement. Yeah. Something about participation, which was also, no? Yes. I'm anticipating a little bit, because I have your questions and I have my notes.
Yes.
So participation is for us a subject and also a method. So as a subject, we are doing research about participation. You might know a book that we have published early 2000s, Architecture and Participation, for example, that was setting up the agenda and bringing back the interest in participation as a research subject in general. But also, we are using participation and co-production as a research method. We are doing a lot of not only action research, but also participative action research, paying attention also at the kind of power structures and dynamics that are formed in the research process, trying to avoid also this extractive kind of approach to research. Of course, training, we have also a whole course at the master level that is taken also by PhD students on participation in architecture and urban design. So it's, yeah, it's quite a big issue, and we think it's a way of democratizing also our profession. And of course, the society as a whole at the end. In terms of how participation is considered in practice in UK, I think it's mandatory kind of request or requirement for different stages of the urban planning process. So you have to prove that you had a participation kind of stage. However, I mean, this is done also quite often.
Formally.
Formally, yeah. It's just a box to tick. You know, real participation is something that we are teaching in these live projects, and we are very aware of this. This will involve on the kind of ladder of participation that has been set up by Sherry Arnheim long time ago. The higher participation level is where the citizens have power, have control over the process, and this is, you know, quite difficult to attend, but at small scale at least it's possible. There is also, we have an urban room. We have within the school a department, well, a department. It's like the school arm, permanent arm to reach the community. It's called LiveWorks. It's this one, yeah. It's a space in an abandoned shop in the city center. Sheffield is a post-industrial city that has a lot of vacant space in the city center due to, you know, economic decay.
Just to get to the collaboration between the university and the public administration, to whom this space belongs to?
This belongs to the university.
Okay.
Yeah. The university is paying for its rent. I mean, it doesn't belong, it's rented by the university. And I have to confess that, you know, it's a kind of continual fight to keep it. Yeah. It's not very expensive. But we support it also. You know, LiveWorks has different remits. It does research, it hosts live projects, so it has a kind of teaching, pedagogical dimension. Yes. it does civic engagement, with the city. It might kind of secure funds from the city for this. It does research also, so it brings research funds.
Sometimes the activities within this place are based on some jobs that you can get from the municipality for doing that.
Yes, but we are also creating research jobs. I mean, there are research associates that are hired to conduct research during projects on a project-based kind of way. But in any case, we are very keen to maintain it, and we are not the only one that have an urban room. There are, I think, more than 20 urban rooms in UK, and there is a network, and our urban room is part of this network. And I think this idea of network is a way of scaling up, so to not, not only
initiative there, initiative here, and
and mutualizing knowledge. So they have a toolkit now. They have produced as part of one of the knowledge exchange project that was funded by the government, a toolkit for how to make an urban room. So other urban rooms have emerged using this toolkit, for example.
Thank you. So
Should I
yes,
stay here?
please.
Okay.
Yes. Maria, your turn. So Maria Neneciu, old friend. We go way back with this idea of engagement and how to make more people interested in processes that transform the city. And now, today, she is representing not just the Ministry of Culture focal point of New European Bauhaus, but, as I was speaking yesterday to Elena Simion from UEFIS-CDI, she will say a few things about M100, which is a project with a large consortium related to net zero city. So please, Maria.
Hello, thank you, and congratulations for this project. It's a project that I admired, and I'm really happy to sort of be part of a bit. So my name is Maria Neneciu. I'm working as a national contact point for New European Bauhaus, but also in the M100 team. M100, it's a mirror mission to the 100th climate neutral and smart cities. So basically what we're trying to do in Romania is to make a national hub in order to help other cities become climate neutral and make their strategies about that. And what I wanted to talk, I didn't prepare a presentation, but what I was talking with Vera the other days, and we were speaking about this sort of dialogue between experiments and between innovation and let's say systemic change. And what I loved most about the New European Bauhaus as a program when it started is that it sort of tries to challenge this topic. How can we have a dialogue between the private sector, the academia, the civil society, and the public administration? And also how to look at transdisciplinarity. So a lot of people talked about the European Bauhaus and looked at let's say, the three values, which is aesthetics and sustainability and inclusion. But what I think is really interesting about this program and also about the missions, all the 5 missions that the European Commission launched, is these working principles which are focused on participatory processes, on this idea of transdisciplinarity, so it's a little bit more than multidisciplinarity, and on this multi-layer engagement or governance. And it seems easy, but I think it's not. My background is from, I think it's useful to say that my background is from the private sector, like in cultural management, small organization. And I've recently sort of switched to the, let's say, a little bit more public agenda. And I think this dialogue between disciplines or between levels, it's quite difficult. And I don't think it's necessarily because we don't speak the same language, because I think there are a lot of people who are, let's say, bilingual, or they try to translate from one side to another. I think it's because it's quite complex. So when we talk about public administration, we talk about a lot of stuff. What I've discovered in this, let's say, a year and a half that I've been working on these two programs is that sometimes it's important to also look at the dialogue between public and public. And we're talking about centralized administration, local administration, but also between the departments in the same institution. Which is usually where the lack of dialogue actually is. And also when we talk about private, we talk about a lot of stuff. We talk about big companies, we talk about corporations, but we also talk about startups or really small cultural organizations which are a little bit on the edge with, let's say, civil society. So I think also in the private sector there is a lack of true dialogue. The good news, in my opinion, is that in the past, I don't know, probably more than 5 years, but we're seeing these programs. We're talking about European Bauhaus and the missions that the European Commission started, which sort of try to approach these topics, and they started acknowledging that they don't have all the answers, that it would be useful to have a little bit more of a also bottom-up approach. And everybody admired that approach, but on the other hand, quickly
it's very hard to
it's very hard to do, and also very quickly criticized it. But okay, why don't we have a grant on that? So I think it's also a matter of patience. And I think in talking about this topic, about this dialogue and this gap between piloting, experimenting, innovation, and systemic change, which actually requires regulations and requires this sort of multi-stakeholder engagement and so on, cities play a crucial role. And I think cities, when we talk about cities, we need to stop talking about public administration, because people tend to talk about cities and look at the municipalities, the city halls. And cities are much more than that. And I think it's a sort of a, let's say, place or concept which can help in this sort of complexity, because on one hand, cities can mean anything, can mean all of these stakeholders, all of this sort of dialogue, multi-layered transdisciplinarity, and so on. But it's also a physical. So it has a physical aspect of it. So it has, let's say, which I think helps, because it helps us come from this abstract sort of buzzwords into concrete actions. And I think initiatives such as this one also help bring this gap make this gap a little bit smaller, I guess. And yeah, thank you.
Now the next two guests are coming from Cluj, and they will speak about not urban but rural case study and collaboration that is super interesting between the University Babeș-Bolyai and actually is the county council of Bistrița-Năsăud, and they try to put together more collaboration with the local public administration as well, and it's a challenge. And if you would like to know more about it, there will be this book launching that is for volume 3, but also for volume 2 later on today. So I give you the floor. You know the obsessions that are yes. So the things that we were discussing beforehand about this intervention. Shoot.
Thank you for the invitation, and we are glad to share our work with you. Our collaboration with the Bistrița County administration started in 2022, when they invited us to propose actions and cultural activities in a new location, which is a castle in a small village on Valea Șieului. Nobody knows about this place. And they just finished the rehabilitation of the site through an European fund that aimed to save the heritage in order also to develop the rural areas. The opening of the castle was on fast forward, and the actual administrator of the space, which is the museal complex of Bistrița Năsăud, didn't have the time to prepare a big exhibition or to really have something meaningful that can stay there for 5 years. Yeah, and very important information, for 5 years the place, it's mandatory to have a non-profit profile activity and to stay as a cultural center. After this, everybody asks what will be the future of the place, and this is how we enter in the relation with the administration. As we know, there are a lot of cultural infrastructures that are rebuilt or built, but there is no continuous program, and our role there was to propose cultural activities, but we went for the opening and we saw that very few locals are there, and we said, okay, this is the problem that we should start with. And then we applied for a fund for PNR.
The national program for resilience and recovery. Thank you.
And it was a call special for small cities and rural area, and we get that fund for 1.5 years, and we started with research. We said, okay, this is the best way to start to understand the place, and we invited 6 researchers in order to tackle also history, also anthropology, and also the environment and the ethnography side. And apart a lot of activities, we really invest our time in this research period because we want to stay there for a longer time, and we wanted to have a good background in order to develop our relationships with the locals, and so with the administration, but also with the museum. So it's a complex relation there. We are not only discussing with the city council, but also with the museum, and sometimes in between them, as you said, public relations are not that easy, or they have different values, and it's strange. Our values are more connected with the values from the county council, and maybe the person which contact us is more interested about the issues that are actually real problems of the world, and maybe the other partners are not that into that.
Yes, so we would also ask this question about the potential you saw for a third space there, and how wonderful this can be, like
Okay.
the imaginary that is so important in everything we do in this project and in the publication as well. So
for us, everything started with the image itself of the castle, which is Baroque. It's really nice. It's like, a candy on the top of a hill. And of course, the village is not. So we wanted to connect these two very different images and to see how the people from the village can connect with this beautiful image, which is, very touristic, has this, it's very imposing somehow, so it shapes the landscape very differently from the village. So I think the third place for us was to somehow connect these two very different places, and so that the community has its own space, but not, physically, but more symbolically, in this castle. Especially since we're talking about public administration, and the regional council in Bîstraș and Nesciu showed interest in this. And they said they're interested in this collaboration so that the villagers and the people there could benefit from this new infrastructure. So we tried to somehow clinch on this idea and do something about it. But 2 years of experience there, we saw that that's like a higher goal. So we scaled down, and we somehow realized that first we have to work more closely to the community, and we went to the city, to the village center now. So our next project is going to be closer to them, not up on the hill. And we're trying to do something there with the old school, which has a different story, and it's also, about the relationship of the people there with the buildings and the history and patrimony and all these things.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
We go to a place which is empty for the moment, is Depot Victoria, that is the pilot of an URBOTECA project that is coordinated by Cristina, and Cristina has received these questions and she's representing the Association for Intercommunity Development Metropolitan Area of Bucharest. It has a complicated name. Her colleagues are taking photographs of this moment, and I'm very happy that we have the larger team from ADIZMB. It has to be stated that they are our associated partners in this CoNECT project, and that's already super good. We had a good start with this partnership in the beginning of our project. And yes, so I give the floor to you with this question: what meant for you as a project coordinator of URBOTECA this collaboration with ATU as a case study for the fellowship?
Okay, thank you.
You have problems with English? You don't have. Shoot.
Okay, so I will tell you a little bit about our URBOTECA project. So we are the urban planning and the mobility department inside the Metropolitan Association of Bucharest. And our interests lie in a lot of subjects involving urban planning, sustainability, resilience, culture. So when we had the opportunity to participate in this URBOTECA project, we had to choose a site that was about, the project is, name is Green Place, Let's Do It Together. So it's about having participatory collaboration in order to find better solutions for sustainability. And our main interest was circular economy, and for this we wanted to choose a site, the Victoria Depot. So Victoria Depot is the oldest depot in Bucharest. It's in the center of the city. Right now it's being used. It's an actual depot. But we knew there were plans from the city hall to transform it into a museum with educational facilities for the workers of the transport department and other activities. So we thought it would be a good opportunity for us to study more what the possibilities are, because we thought it could benefit from a more participatory process to involve more stakeholders, because URBOTECA is all about having all the stakeholders at the same table, having international cooperation, which always brings new ideas and enriches your project. So, in order to have this participatory process, we had to create an URBEC local group where we wanted to include as many stakeholders as possible from different areas of interest. And we had stakeholders from the universities, professional associations, from the city hall. We involved 3 departments from the city hall. We involved public transport institution in Bucharest, a lot of NGOs, and among them was, yes, ATU, which was a very, very good collaboration. I think it brought a lot of value to our project. And because of this, we also had the opportunity to participate in the URBOTECA fellowship. And I think this process brought a lot of value to our project because we managed to include some aspects that we haven't thought of before. And also it was, I hope it was good for them because we brought some knowledge about the site and about stakeholders and actors.
You were the only hosts who were not really hosts of a third space.
Yes, because we are not owners.
In view of creating the best third space ever in the Pole Victoria, we were collaborating to define what kind of uses besides the museum, because we consider here that the space is big enough to have more than this fenced, okay, it's a museum, it's a cultural infrastructure, good, about the history of public transportation, very good. But if this is to be NEB, New European Bauhaus,
it has to
I
have
think
a lot
that
of
more users have to be there and enjoy this social infrastructure as alternative as possible. So not just a museum.
Yeah.
That is, you go, you visit, you learn about things, but not just a training center, but much more. What
Yes.
much more?
And
this is a very good question to still dig in.
Yes, and I think a very useful tool for this was actually the survey that we made together with Vera, ATU, and the Bucharest Chamber of Architects. So we developed this survey, which was a huge success. We didn't count on it. We got 650 responses. It was kind of a complex survey. It was very popular. It got media attention. We had a lot of articles on web published. We
even had a copycat. From a sector municipality expert that was hired to do a similar kind of approach, and then you could see our survey and then that survey, very similar.
Yes, so I think being part in this URBEC project was very interesting process for us and for all the stakeholders involved, because I think it got things moving a little bit. The City Hall now intends on doing a competition for the place, which we always thought it's the best idea to move further. And hopefully we'll have this competition and get many more ideas. Also, we have a lot of ideas from the survey.
The brief for this competition will be definitely enriched with the perspectives that were collected during this.
Yes, I think the survey will serve for defining, well, not just a survey, but will be part of the documentation that will serve as a starting point for drawing the tender for the competition, which was also why was part of the reasons we made it. Because we thought it's a very good idea to actually help with this, not just have an URBAC project, but actually help moving things forward.
And connecting stakeholders and engaging.
Yeah, this is the whole point of the project.
Thank you very much. Good. Then, Ina asked me to translate. I think you will. I think you will. Because it's not... Grab the mic.
Hello, I'm Stoian. I'm recently in a city hall position, so I'm part of the urban project team in Bucharest City Hall, but this is new, it's from November last year. Before I just hopped out from architecture, urban planning, research or cultural projects. So activist. So now this position kind of suits me like an inside activist. But I'm happy to be part of this team in urban projects that can do a lot of good things for the city and can act like link between administration and other institutions and other actors, stakeholders. So I'm here because Vera asked me 2 days ago, and I'm very happy to be here. We do a lot of projects in urban projects, but some are very linked with what was talked here. One is the city contract, climate city contract, which is part of the M100 hub. Other is the integrated urban development strategy for Bucharest. That is a strategy that was left in a drawer 5 years. So now we are trying to.
It is super relevant because it is a condition in the Regional Development Agency for European funding.
Yeah. So we are trying to finish it and put it in the city council to be approved. And also we are starting to make some very early brief for the Victoria Depot. We have good news because we have the budget for this. This is unexpected. Yeah, so but no. So what to say more? And also why we are so late or delaying a lot of things is because now I think I am also a part of this delaying, is that we try to align all the strategies that are along departments in the town hall with one with the other and also with the general urban plan. Not to have different ideas with different projects that are not aligned, and this takes quite a long because these strategies are like each 1,000 pages, and no, it's a long process. What was not done before, so but we are also advancing.
we need to state that for M100, there was a competition. And the municipality of Bucharest came together with the sector municipalities, and that's a rare collaboration. And then it's even more rare that you have to state your interest for carbon footprint, reducing carbon footprint, and also say how you're going to do it, and also dig for some data to have a baseline from which you would compare in time. So this thing, climate city contract, it's an important input for moving things forward in relation to the ecological transition that is in the title of CoNECT project. So
yes, and maybe I will just say something because it was the reason I came here, but the introduction was quite long. There are two challenges in this contract, climate contract, city contract. One is that people in the town hall don't understand what's about, and for the first time we had to see who's understanding this and make like a team to work on this contract. And after long discussions, we are happy to be like 4 people that are representing 3 important departments. So it's the environment department, the urban planning department, and the NGO relation, city relation with NGO department. So for me, I think it's the
First, it's a first. It's a first.
Yeah, it's for now it's perfect, and we are working on this contract. We already made some public debates. We have to continue, but now we do this in between.
Thank you. Now let's go to the second round. You keep the mic because we will go to the opposite direction. And then the question is not a surprise because that's the name of the panel. And if it was to write a letter to Santa Claus or maybe to the Easter Bunny, I don't know. Now, from each of you, can we think of what you would wish for in terms of collaboration between public administration and action research organizations? I'm not saying university because ATU has this hybrid kind of status. So I want to have ATU both in the Organization for Action Research and NGO that is acting to promote some principles and doing this activist work also, like Meta. But then to come back to the question, many words there. Let's think of what to wish for to have this collaboration the way you want it between public administration and research organizations. What would you like from research organizations now that you are part of the public administration?
Maybe it's not one particular example, but maybe to forget the political part, because we have walls with this. But I'm not thinking of nobody in particular, but we, from time to time, we have this block, dialogue blocked because of the politics. So maybe if we just
less political fight.
Yeah, because political now is in everything, also in research institutes, also in
power play.
Yeah. Maybe this, and if I'm thinking of something more joyful, I will. Yeah.
Thank you. Dear Santa.
Wow, it's a very difficult question because for me at least, because the activities we had until now with other stakeholders were really positive. So it would be really difficult to find something to improve.
Oh, good.
Yeah, but it's also because usually when we have a project or something, we are going towards people we've already worked with, and we know that they are the best fit for what we need. So that's why it's not just important to find somebody you know is good, but they have to be flexible, they have to be, or I don't know, to be suitable for that particular part.
So you're saying that the trust is there, and also this win-win is kind of obvious. Maybe some resources, but we have
usually
to go
resources is a
get
problem.
some resources.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. I think what lacks in Bucharest, especially, and I never understood this, that Bucharest is considered a rich region, and this is why they don't get a lot of European funding. And we all know the problems of the budget in Bucharest, that it's actually divided in 7. So yeah, budget is always a problem, because you can't really get it from the city hall has limited resources, and European funding is limited, so it's complicated. So yeah, budget will be very big ask.
Miki?
I will not complain about the money, but I would like Santa to replicate our man in the county. Because I feel that our relation is quite personal, and we need more people like him around.
So it's an alignment in values.
Yes.
And you would like more people in the public administration
to think more openly, yeah,
okay,
and to be interested about the nowadays issues.
Thank you. Ivona.
And also long-term commitment. So our project is project-based, obviously. So we get the funding, we have their full support on co-funding our projects, but it's not a full commitment. Like, we own this process and we care about the process on a long term and see what's coming up. So it's still result-based somehow.
Yeah.
You have to deliver something. Yes. And that sometimes intervenes with the process itself.
Thank you. More open-ended, more
yes,
comfortable with. Yes, go. Yes, it can go back, yes.
Let me think about how to phrase this. I would like Santa to resolve this problem that you can't have long-term strategies because on a political level you are always limited to the 4 years mandate.
Thank you.
That's it.
Maria?
So if Santa would have already listened to my colleagues here, and we wouldn't have political fights, and we would have a lot of good examples and case studies, because I think they're essential to have examples of good collaborations to look up to. I would also say some courage. I think people don't take the risks, and I think that's something that has something to do also with trust. So a little bit more trust and a little bit more courage, I guess.
Thank you. Less scared of the Curtea de Conturi. Yes.
Well, I would also wish that, instead of having this kind of discrete experiments in very special conditions where you have the right person at the right moment, in the right institution or in the right space, this would become systemic. Yeah, a multiplicity is necessary in order to really mark a change. Otherwise, they will remain kind of exceptions that won't have any influence on the society. I mean, they will always have a bit of local influence, but yeah, in order to change something, I think we need to grow, and definitely to create networks, to also have support, a kind of structural support from administrations, institutions, on both sides, on research sides, universities, and that sometimes also have to revise the way they are allocating funding, but also local municipalities. And the minimal thing would be to have space for free.
Yes, yes. To go back, thank you very much. Now the third round, that's even shorter. And here you have the 4 hats that are representing the workshop. So I'm doing a teaser now for the people who came and who are not part of the consortium, or to stay, because we will have a bit of fun in the afternoon. And this third round is from each of you, if you want, that's optional, to ask a question to another panelist. And then this other panelist doesn't have to answer. But then this collection of questions could be a good basis for the workshop in the afternoon. So think of something that you would ask somebody.
Well, the question is how do we get more skilled to deal with this kind of muddy political situations that are at all levels? And I see that we are all women here on this panel, and there is a question about our role, but also about how we get help. Yeah, because I've seen lots of colleagues that are doing this kind of work, getting exhausted. You mentioned that you are tired, and I think we are all tired and overworked. And I mean, this is an open question: how how you manage to have a good life and do the work that we are doing. I mean, it's for all, probably.
I would also have a question. I think it's for all. It would be if you could bend or break a rule for one day, what would that be?
Actually, I was picking up on what Doina said about being all women here, and I was looking in the audience as well, and it's mostly women, so it's not very really gender-based, balanced. And I was thinking, why? Because we have this issue being in a rural, very traditional place in our project being there. We had this problem of us being an all-women team, going to a very patriarchy society, and I was looking around that it was for me for a second comforting that we're not alone. So yeah, it's more a reflection of what you said and not an answer, but yeah.
So you would ask Santa that more people from the action research organizations and municipalities are involved in this kind of processes. Yes, more men involved. Santa, please hear us. I'm after a quarter of a century in the civil society sector, and that's the case. So I saw that it's only ladies here, but you cannot do anything about it. So I wanted some gender balance. I invited Julian. He said he doesn't want to be.
Hi, thank you so much for your presentations. My name is Elena Cautiș. I'm finishing my PhD related to cultural heritage and participation. So I've been thinking about participation a lot in the past years. And my question, which I haven't had a chance yet to answer, is what happens when participation translates in a sort of steering towards undemocratic and unsustainable. You know, there are cases, and specifically with cultural heritage, let's say, there are specific practices, cultural practices, which are undemocratic, which are unsustainable, but which are, you know, cultural heritage, and they're in this field. There's a big ethos of conservation, right? And especially in rural areas, I'm working with rural areas as well. So, you know, it's, for example, the preservation of traditional communities, it's a big ethos. But what happens when, you know, participation in this case means, you know, keeping and conserving some patterns and some, you know, very unsustainable and undemocratic, patterns?
I think I have a possible answer. So I think the idea, well, it depends a lot on who's coordinating this participatory process, because if it's not the right person, then it won't be a success. But if it's the right person, he or she should involve very different people from as many different fields of expertise as possible, because it will cancel out the ones who are trying to go in a wrong direction. So as many people that are very pro real participation will help with the whole process, I think. So if anyone.
I also want to add and to reinforce what you say. It's also important to maybe think about the risk from the beginning when the process starts, knowing the context, and make sure that there is a sort of, control or common understanding, of what is at stake, if it's possible. But I would say that participation is risky and is open. I mean, it's not always, the outcome is not always positive, because that's why it's participation, yeah? So what is very important is who is there, who participates. And I think this is a huge issue, because usually those that are participating are the the kind of those that are more acquainted to these processes, those that know about this. So we need to make sure that we are inviting also the relevant persons. There might be people that are reluctant or that have no experience of participation. I'm speaking a lot from my experience working in the private areas in suburban towns where there is a high rate of people from immigrant background that do not have this culture of participation. But the question then is how to make them come. And our answer to this was to not have just this, spoken participation, so to say, when you have a presentation at the city hall and invite people to come and to say yes or no, which is the distant participation that won't really, they won't call people. There are people that will never go to the city hall other than for their identity papers. But to have a place where participation is lived and they can see also the results of this, I mean, the benefits of this, it's for them and they can use these benefits. And it's also a process which is constructed together. Yeah, it's not the participation which is imposed from top down according to the rules that are dictated by the municipality or by whoever, by a specialist in participation. It's an understanding that grows organically, and for this we need spaces where participation is trained almost and
exactly.
kind of
so,
lived.
Link to that, in the afternoon there will be 4 presentations from the living labs that are from France and Netherlands, and maybe it's useful to see in these living labs what kind of instruments and methods were used in relation to not presenting with a PowerPoint. Like what kind of skills are necessary, as Cristina was putting it, because you really need to know how to adapt specific instruments to specific contexts so that you give voice, so that you are allowing this diversity to happen. So, and one key finding that we had from this project is that this needs to be recognized as a skill, as competencies. These are specific competencies, and resources have to be put in living labs or different kinds of setups so that you can have these processes.
So we have, as part of CoNECT, we have written an article that hopefully will be published soon, which is what we call a mediation process, where we can see, I mean, this mediation role, which is the facilitation role that you are speaking about, has many kind of facets. So it's not just one single, that could be negotiator, they can be obstructor, they can be communicators, they can be, and these roles can be taken by many people, not only the same, and not from the same kind of sector. So we did this research based on our experience, and I think this was a major finding to see. Also, people are wearing several hats and several roles, sometimes in different instances, and just to create this ecosystem, I think is important, where facilitation, mediation is held by a number of people, not only by one, is dispersed, is distributed.
I'm not sure I can formulate it as a question, but the thought that comes to mind is we tend to make a distinction between official participation processes, so the ones that are mandated through laws or through that are related to development plans. And participation is something that is a skill that we're training like in a living lab. And somehow it feels that these two types of participation, well, of course they are different, but also the stakes behind them are different, right? How can we bring them to work towards the same goal in a way? When we talk about participation in development processes, something that municipalities do and so on, I think that the stakes are really high, but the processes of participation are really ill-suited. While as when we talk about living labs and participation in living labs, not the stakes are low, but are relatively lower. But the skills that are learned are much more important somehow. So how can we? I would like us to start thinking about how can we bring these processes together somehow. So maybe there are ideas.
I would say that by doing it more somehow. I think by doing it more, the skills sort of develop. And also relating to the question before, I think it's mostly about the process, not necessarily about who's right or who's wrong, because I think nobody's right and nobody's wrong usually, or not necessarily. I mean, I think the focus is mostly like a little bit like in a debate club. You know, it doesn't matter who's right or who's wrong. It's the process itself that helps you develop a critical thinking. So I think by doing it more and by developing the skills in different actors, as Doina mentioned, because it's not only the facilitators or only the ones that are technically the ones that should be in charge with facilitating. I think this sort of role could be taken up by different actors in different contexts. And probably if you have a critical mass of interest regarding that, at one point it will also become embedded in the, let's say, technical, a little bit more official processes, I would say.
I will add something to Maria. I think doing it more, there will be more chances that the interests and the ideas align, and then when you got this, you have to finish or do a project, not to leave it just with all people. Yeah. So I think this will be also a skill to be there when the interests align and do something.
Sorry, I'd just like to share a couple of thoughts regarding these two models of participation that Ivona was talking about. And one thought is regarding the traditional kind of since the 70s, I think, the tradition of participation in planning in Scandinavia, in Sweden, which is very much going for this fanatic thinking of consensus, and that often builds up a problem, because you just ignoring the fact that society, cities, and the way we co-design is full of conflicts as well, and ideas and in ways of paths to choose and so on. And I think that is it's something that has built up also resistance against participation because of being blinded to those things and being some sort of a sect religious thing of like, okay, it's about consensus, or let's reach consensus. And there has been enough literature building up that participation should also talk about the points of conflict as constructive way of producing knowledge collectively. And the other thought is even in situations of living lab, when it comes to maybe smaller scale, and when we are planning and organizing things to be effective, so let's go for workshops, let's go for representation, get maybe groups that represent different people and so on, and then we are in the room and we are running a workshop. And that workshop, if we are not critical enough and pay attention to what is happening in the room, there is also the risk of us overseeing problems within that room. Sometimes certain voices take more space than others. And that doesn't mean that the ones that are more silent in the room don't have anything valuable to bring in. Sometimes they are either being, in a situation of oppression to the other's voices, microaggressions that we don't see, sometimes can be related to to acts of discrimination in society, can be racial aspects, it can be gender aspects, and so on. So therefore, I think that's very important that we always come with a critical layer where we combine different modes of participation also. When it's the lab, that's, I think, the advantage of the lab is that we are able to work with individual meetings, combining with workshops, combining with exhibitions, combining with different modes of assessing knowledge and collecting knowledge that is not just a one way, one answer. So participation is a word that I think embraces so many different things, and it's so easy to go critical against it without analyzing that inside it there is already a lot of critical stance that sometimes we oversee when we just use the word.